to bring up four points that I think have been important for institutionalization at NORAD and the Norwegian system quite recently. So basically starting from the top down in the organization. So first, this year, for the first time, so the Norwegian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and their political leadership put in the state budget, which is important because it's in the state budget that we list priorities for the government. So now it says in the Norwegian state budget that Norwegian development assistance should be knowledge-based. Obviously, it was supposed to be that before as well, but now it says so in the state budget, which is nice. And it says that we should, or we can, prioritize spending on impact evaluation, real-term evaluations across the programs of the aid budget. That's important because it gives the political signal and the signal from the ministry that this is something that they want to see done throughout Norwegian development aid. So that's the first. Second, then to follow up this, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs put in their so-called grant letter, which is the annual letter from the ministry to NORAD that sets out its priorities for us. It says that NORAD should prioritize development effectiveness, which is also something new, and it has quite big implications for how we think around the things we fund and the things we don't fund. So those two things, to a large extent, takes part of the big overarching political and Ministry of Foreign Affairs signals. Then NORAD now has a new strategy that puts knowledge center stage. And I think you really can't underplay the importance of this. NORAD has a Director General that really puts knowledge center stage. So Bård Vegar Solhjell was here on this stage just a few weeks ago during the spring meetings, and he got everyone to chant his slogan, this "Fakta har makta," which means facts inform policy or whatever. Beautiful in English, in Norwegian doesn't really translate. And they, obviously, fakta har makta is a gimmick. Obviously, it's oversimplifying, but it's an extremely useful gimmick, right? Because it starts conversations, it creates discussions, it creates tensions, but it puts it on the agenda all the time. And these, and that gimmick and that slogan, in combination with a lot of other strategic stuff, meant that we had the signals from the top leadership that were absolutely essential. So that takes part of the top-down part, but you also need the bottom-up part, right? So now we are in the process of reorganizing basically everything we do at NORAD in more coherent portfolios. It's mandated that as part of every portfolio, so every portfolio needs to have a theory of change, they need to have a knowledge map, and they need to have a knowledge plan. And that basically means that now everyone in the organization are working with knowledge in their thematic areas and thinking about how to use evaluation strategically to fill the knowledge gaps, to monitor, to make sure that we are not just monitoring results, but also are able to say something useful about the results we achieve, what we achieve, or what we don't achieve, and how we can use that to change course if and when necessary. And that has, that means that this is now much further up on the list of priorities of the mid-level managers and then also the caseworkers. And that's key. And lastly, my fourth point is, so NORAD is not an implementing agency. We don't implement a single project ourselves. That means we can be, the most fantastic knowledge-based organization in the world. But if our partners aren't also knowledge-based, working with evaluation, then we're not really doing anything. So the last piece of the puzzle for us right now is to ensure that in our calls for proposals, for instance, that there are requirements for knowledge use, that we say concretely that we will, when we evaluate their applications, their knowledge use will be part of the evaluation criteria, and also that we want them to prioritize high-quality evaluation, including impact evaluation, as part of their grant proposals, which is key, right? Because it is, it's always going to be hard for an NGO to make the prioritization between delivery and spending on knowledge, because it's always going to be looked on as being a friction between the two, and we can talk more about that. And I think that's a false equivalence. But the fact that we are now saying to them, yes, we want you to prioritize evaluation is critical.